there.
Talk 106.5. You lead off all.
We'll figure it out.
Doctor has the brand and accessories to make your cart as individual as you are. Cart Doctor Theodore or cartdoctor.com.
You wonder your moon path. So moon. The casserole. Their expertise to answer your you award finalists, 12-time NAFI Award losers. They are the dynamic duo of dining.
Drop, keep screaming for more.
Mike and Stu on FM Talk 106.5.
And happy 2025. You're listening to Sip and Chew with Mike and Stu on FM Talk 106.5. Mike's taking the day off. He's got a little moving left to do. So I'm in here running solo. Steve's going to back me up. So when I run out of crap to say, he'll say something.
That's my job today.
Yeah. I think I want to start things off talking about Delta Safari, my YouTube channel that I do about life here on the Delta. And this time of year, it's kind of hard to get out and do fishing and stuff like that naturally because of the weather. So what I do is I do compilation episodes.
There you go.
Where I take small episodes, put them together, maybe make a 1-hour episode out of it.
Kind of like a best of, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. And it gives people that hadn't been watching over the years a chance to get caught up stuff. In the last few weeks, I've been doing compilations that were focused on just restaurants in the area that I visited on different themes. I did the gas station grub that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I've done seafood, barbecue, stuff like that. So I want to encourage you that if you want to check them out, they've really done some of the best numbers that I've had. They're, it may be a new focus of the channel.
Oh, yeah.
Is more restaurant stuff.
I've always noticed that, it's just like Disney had always figured out that people like to see a little behind the scenes, how you make things like that. Do you do anything like that?
I actually did an episode one time that the whole thing was the behind the scenes of me doing a Studio 10 appearance.
Oh, very cool.
So, Studio 10's running their cameras. I had mine set up behind us to catch everything from behind and what's going on during commercials and stuff like that.
People love to see that. Even being in the business for over 40 years now, I still enjoy seeing the behind the scenes, just kind of how things work.
Yeah, but in your case, you're actually, it's just like if I watch Chopped All Stars,
right,
or Iron Chef, I'm looking for inspiration, see new ways that people do it. That's what you're doing. Everybody else, it's just magic.
Yeah.
But to you, it's like, I never thought of doing that. That's cool.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, I enjoyed seeing how I'm the guy who asked who was the first person to whatever,
Yeah.
Okay, how did we discover this? Things like that. I'm that guy.
With food, those have always been interesting questions because I used to think, who was the first human that looked at that rock and went, I wonder if I crack it open if there's some meat inside? And then someone pointed out to me, they watched an otter do it.
And they ate
there you go. Yeah. But they saw the otters breaking open clam shells and oyster shells and eating something out of it. So they went,
there you go.
Let's go see what's in that.
Exactly.
Although it sounded more like, I didn't have to.
There's a joke I can't even go on here with.
Let's not. Let's not start 2025 off by getting in trouble with the FCC.
No.
Yeah, but I've been doing those compilations, and then this week and next week I will be doing the best ofs from the previous year, the episodes that got the biggest viewership, and so this week will be the regular episodes.
Okay.
That got the most viewership, and the next week I'll do the top 5 shorts.
Well, it makes sense starting in a new year, looking back a little bit and projecting into what you're going to be doing, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And then I'll try and slip in some fishing when we have decent weather. Like I was going to do a little today, but apparently I'm not.
Yeah.
But I am watching the weather forecast because the first time we get snow up in Talladega National Forest by Cheehaw or Bankhead National Forest, which is north of Tuscaloosa,
Right.
I'm headed up there because I watch a lot of these backpacking and hiking shows on YouTube, and all of them say you want to go hike in the snow. There's zero insects.
Wow.
They said it's also the quietest you will ever experience because nothing is scurrying around.
I've learned recently that the reason why forests of snow
Mhm.
are quiet, more quiet than those that aren't, is because the snow is actually a soundproofing.
Right.
And actually, the ice and snow compacted like that absorbs sound.
Mhm.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It makes sense when we think about it.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, eggshell cartons on the wall do it. Why wouldn't snow?
sure. Well, I mean, it's just the difference in porous, but like ice will not. And because it's so solid, but the porous, I don't know if that's the word, porosity.
Well, because there's going to be pockets of air in there
Exactly.
for it to break up the sound waves and to trap it.
Yeah.
And people don't think about things that have a lot of air in them. Bread and cake
Right.
are one of those examples. You're eating mostly air,
Right.
and what you've got is a cellular structure made up of proteins and carbohydrates
Mhm.
that trap that air in it, and that's what bread is when it rises. You know, it's the same amount of dough you put in there that was the palm of your hand.
Mhm.
Everything else that you see when it's the size of a loaf of bread, it's just air.
Hmm.
And in a lot of cases, by air, I mean carbon dioxide.
Right. Really?
Yeah. Well, that's what the leavening agent is. That's what makes bread rise. The yeast consumes the sugars.
Right.
It puts off, it puts off carbon dioxide in the form of gas. Basically, yeast is farting. When you're eating a bread, you're eating a fart. Well, that's not accurate. When you're eating bread, you're eating millions of farts.
No, okay. Yeah, because of the yeast and the expansion of
Yeah,
the skeleton.
but yeah, it's
Interesting.
that's what fermentation to me, and bread is fermentation, a form of fermentation. Beer is fermentation.
Right.
Wine, to me, is just one of the most fascinating processes. I absolutely get giddy
Really?
when fermentation takes place when it's supposed to. Now, if I buy some fruit and I leave it in the refrigerator
Wow.
too long, and that starts to ferment, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't like it. Now, if I left it in there long enough, it would be wine, and I would probably like that.
I always, first, I guess early on, I always worried about that, just showing what I didn't know is how it would affect other within the refrigerator.
Well,
If this is rotting, it's causing other rotting. You know, and
Well, yeah.
that's not true. So
yeah.
you're just leaving it in too long, Steve. That's the problem. There's nothing, no association at all, except the time frame. There was a thing I learned very early on in college, you know, how a plane gets started. And people how we used to think,
Yeah.
kind of headline. Yeah, no, this doesn't associate with that,
Yeah.
you know, because you ate the wheat and, you know, guess who was in the wheat? The mice.
Yeah.
And guess who was carrying the plague? The mice.
Well, the mice were carrying the fleas
Fleas, that's it.
that had them. Yeah, we blame the rats and the mice for the longest time.
That's what was my.
But
Yeah.
how are we going to catch it from them? Because we weren't trading bodily fluids with them.
We didn't
I hope.
see.
Yeah.
We couldn't see. We didn't have-
Right, exactly. But
That was
but
my
the
thing.
fleas would bite the rats who had the plague,
Exactly.
and it wasn't an issue for the rats.
And so,
Yeah, but when they then transferred it when they bit a human, put the plague in there, the rats had an immune system that was built to handle it.
Right.
We did not.
Right.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
But once at Lucky, I had pulled in some salmon to do a salmon special and had a lot left over. What I did was a very healthy burger where I hand chopped salmon and made a salmon burger
okay.
with a yogurt based sauce on it. And it was for the first week of New Year's, and it was called the Resolution Burger.
Nice.
Whole wheat bun. Well, people going to a bar don't want to eat healthy. So I only sold like 8 of them that week. And usually, you know, we're selling 25, 30 a day of the burger of the week. So I had all the salmon left over. And Ryan Wilder, who was my Cisco rep at the time and a great chef in this town, said, I've got a recipe for you to make salmon pastrami,
Salmon pastrami.
which is a fermentation, well, a curing process.
Yeah.
And he said, do a Reuben with it. So that's what we ended up doing. But I'm sitting there and I'm putting together the cure with the right amount of salt, the right amount of sugar, the two main ingredients, then my flavorings, the cracked black pepper, which is a big part of pastrami, all that. We're packing it down, and I'm just like a little schoolgirl. 251-343-0106 is Sip and Choose talk and text line. That made a fire Reuben, by the way. With salmon pastrami. Yep, we packed it and all that stuff and stuck it in the back of the cooler for 2 weeks.
Wow. That's the really thin.
Oh, these were whole pieces.
Oh, okay.
And then we cut them down to make them.
Shaved them.
Yeah, but we cured them in the large fillets.
Well, yeah, no, that makes sense. I didn't know how that, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I'm picturing in my brain why, it's like with I don't know what it's called, buying the little thing, just really thin,
Yeah.
almost paper thin.
Yeah, that's that Nova Scotian smoked salmon. That's good stuff.
Yeah. But they did basically, they just take it, for lack of a better word, a cheese cutter kind of cut her in. It's thin.
It's a dude with a really sharp knife.
Oh, really?
Or it's partially frozen and they put it on a meat slicer. That's how you slice. Like in Philly, they don't. Every place you go and get a Philly cheesesteak outside of Philadelphia, it's sirloin.
Right.
That's been shredded, pressed into a sheet. They put 3 or 4 sheets together, freeze them together, and you chop them up on the grill.
Okay.
In Philly, it's thinly shaved ribeye. And the way that they do that is they partially freeze the ribeye so it's not so soft. They put it on a meat slicer. Publix sells that thinly shaved ribeye. It's about $8-9 for a pound of it, which is, but it's still.
Successfully explained to my ex-wife. Thank you for that, Mr. Plott. Yeah, Bill talks about that every now and then. Bill talks about plants having sex or having sex with themselves. Somebody, you just know, somebody out there in any context.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Well, I learned that when I was recovering in the hospital. And my doctors were like, we got to make sure you fart.
Yeah.
He said, that's a huge part of your health. And I just decided that then, if you get offended by that, that's your problem.
Yeah.
These are natural bodily functions that are incredibly important.
Yep. Makes watching a CSI, you figure out a lot of things. Scary, but at the same time, it's reality.
Yeah. Oh, God, cops hate the show CSI.
Huh?
Cops hate the show CSI.
Oh, I'm sure.
My dad used to talk about, he goes, first off, you have to understand that 90% of the technology they use on that show is not real.
Right.
He said they just make stuff up. He said, but people watch it, think it's real, then get on a jury. And like, why did this investigation take 6 months on TV? They wrap it up in an hour.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, I'm not that stupid, but again, I've got insight on it. So.
Yeah. And we're back to Sip and Chew with Mikeless Stew. Mike is out, but he did want to bring up a topic today, and I'm going to discuss it because he wanted to. Talking about diets for the new year.
Oh, there you go.
And one that he is exploring is called the carnivore's diet, which as soon as he told me the name, I said, it's Atkins. It's a repackaging of Atkins. So I did my research, and it's a repackaging of Atkins. This is the 4th or 5th person to take the Atkins diet, tweak something based on some pseudoscience, and resell it as a new diet.
Yeah. Fresh my memory. Atkins was carbs?
Low carbs. Yeah. And Dr. Atkins, who did decades of research before coming up with his diet, all the rest of these that have been based off of it, they do no research. They get his book, They find some paper on the internet where someone has tweaked something or has a theory. They change a little bit, then they repackage it to sell it. And their only goal is to sell you their diet plan.
So what's the version that's now?
So the carnivore is incredibly unhealthy.
Oh.
It is nothing but animal products.
It's not just red meat.
It's any animal product. You can eat that, but you're not allowed to eat any vegetables or produce.
That's not smart.
That's horrible. That is absolutely horrible. And Mike brought up the point that a friend of ours has lost 50 pounds on it. That doesn't mean it's healthy.
I was going to say.
Rapid weight loss is incredibly unhealthy. Another thing that's incredibly unhealthy is this vicious cycle of people who gain a bunch of weight, then lose a bunch of weight,
Right.
then gain it back. And you're better off being 150 pounds overweight the rest of your life than you are to get in that vicious cycle. It destroys, it increases your aging.
Cardio.
Yeah, it's hard on your cardiovascular, it's hard on your respiratory system. It's terrible for your joints. Right, exactly. And that's the other thing with the low carb diets. While they're not, and Dr. Atkins said this, his diet was not healthy. He said no diets are healthy. A diet, and that's the thing we have to distinguish. A diet is what you eat day to day.
Right.
And you need to have a healthy diet, which means you need to eat healthy day to day, every day, the rest of your life. Diets are fads, and none of them are healthy.
What's really interesting to me is this obsession, and it's cultural. So there's an argument of that, of, beauty, age, whatever. But the hard thing for me is learning my own body versus, say, yours.
Exactly.
That's the
We
whole
all
point.
have different
There's no
metabolisms.
standard across the board that says Steve, Stu, Mike, everybody's going to have exactly the same thing. It doesn't work that because we process different, and that's mentally or physically.
I recently discovered a band, and I can't remember their name because I'm old and that happens. But their lead singer is a female who's 6'3" and weighs about 110 pounds.
That's not it.
You say that. She constantly gets inundated with people telling her that she needs to see a doctor because of anorexia and all of that. And then she put up a family photo with 4 generations, and they're all 6'3" and 100 pounds. She said, the guys in the band said she eats more than any of us. It's just exactly. It's just the
Yeah,
metabolism.
I made that comment for that reason. That's what
Yeah.
people's first reaction. What's not healthy?
Yeah,
To you, it may work.
right.
For them,
But she gets, her doctor is happy with the nutrition she's getting. That's just her body.
Yeah.
And that's why before you go on any diet that you see that's a fad, you need to talk to your doctor first.
It's really interesting, the deception of the word. What's the name of the diet?
Carnivore.
Carnivore.
Yeah.
First thing you're thinking is to just.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what it is. It's eat all the ham you want, eat all the bacon, well, that's not healthy. No one should eat ham, bacon, or sausage every day of their life.
I got a word for you. Balance.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Balance.
It is a lifestyle change. So these all fad diets, they're
That includes pork.
back in 1994, then President Bill Clinton
Mhm.
went to, I don't know if it was Social Service Department or FDA, but he went to one of the organizations in the government. He said, I want to fund a study, take a couple of years,
Mhm.
figure out the absolute healthiest diet for a human being. And they
Wow.
did. And what they came up with, and we remember seeing this on the side of bread, is the food pyramid.
Exactly.
And one of the guys, when they got done with it, looked at the food pyramid and went, huh. They said, what? He goes, that looks like the everyday diet in the Middle East.
Ah.
What Jesus ate.
Imagine that.
Yeah. What they eat in Israel now, what they eat in Saudi Arabia. You look, take a look. You don't see a lot of obesity in those countries.
No.
But they have a wonderful, fulfilling diet. I love Mediterranean food.
We can argue a lot of what we put in preservatives. And
Oh, yeah.
that argument
That's a whole different story there. I will tell you this. There's no such thing as eating healthy that doesn't involve you cooking from scratch 80% of what you eat. It is impossible to eat healthy if you're not the one cooking it. Because you have no control over what's actually in there.
Right.
Cite an example several years ago when trans fats were being demonized, as they should have been. Now, keep in mind, That's the manufactured trans fats.
Right.
The naturally occurring trans fat in cow is not that bad because there's about a tablespoon in 1,000-pound cow.
But it's natural.
What the trans fats that were killing us and still are is Crisco.
Yes.
It's your
Large.
vegetable vegetable shortening.
Okay.
That is a manufactured trans fat.
The difference between lard and short.
Shortening is made from vegetable lard. Is made from pork fat, rendered
Okay.
pork fat. What they do with shortening, where they take vegetable oil and turn it in so that it looks like lard, is they force an extra molecule or an extra atom of hydrogen into each molecule. That's why it's called hydrogenated oil. Hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. These are incredibly unhealthy. It's the same thing as with high fructose corn syrup. The body looks at it and said, that's not food.
Right.
I don't know what to do with it, so I'm going to store it as fat. Every gram of high fructose corn syrup or hydrogenated oil that you consume is stored in your body as fat. And the body then needs to turn around and burn the fat to get fuel. They can't turn it into direct food because it's not food. It's a chemical made in a factory. McDonald's came out and had this wonderful advertisement where they were getting rid of all their trans fats.
Right. I remember that.
And then 6 months later, they got fined by the FDA because they hadn't pulled their trans fats out of any restaurant. They said, well, they were still having trouble making the switch over.
Mm.
And what it was they had already bought millions of gallons of Crisco and they were going to burn through it before they switched. But they didn't stop telling people they do. That's what I'm saying. If you don't cook it, you can't trust that the person that's preparing it is doing what they're supposed to.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah. And you have to prepare it yourself to have a healthy diet, period.
And you got to find that, again, that balance, what your body, what works for you versus, it's just like,
Exactly.
I work out 3 or 4 times a week. People go, I can't believe you're actually doing this. And you're not. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm not doing it on a guilt trip thing. I'm trying to say, I know what works for me. It's taken me 40 years to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I've had to do this adjustment. I got to talk to a guy just recently, made a trip last week with my son. We were to work out. And the guy says, you look great. How old are you? He says, wow, you run? I said, I run a lot. I said, I run a mile, but I do it a quarter at a time. He said, I used to go and run the full 2 miles and just wonder why I couldn't do it. But I had to adjust. Now, for someone else,
Yeah.
no.
I used to do, run 3 miles a day when I got home from work. And I got the weight down. I was training for a 5K, which is about 3 miles.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. You run 3 miles every day. And I lost a lot of weight, was feeling good, but I'm in a career where I've spent all of my life standing on concrete floors for 12 hours a day. And the plantar fasciitis eventually got to where I couldn't run anymore.
I think we were talking about behind the scenes. It's just take it individual to individual. You have to apply it that way. It's just the way it is. And same with diet. I know what this past week, my son and his wife, man, they want to feed you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm stuck. You didn't eat that much. No, I'm not used to it. This is what I eat. Maybe one meal a day,
Yeah.
What's my health?
Yeah. So if you're looking for the healthiest diet to go on for the new year, cook everything yourself, 80% of everything, because I'm going to allow some convenient stuff in there.
Oh, sure.
You've had a tough day. Let's go to a restaurant, sit down. All of that's there, and you have to have that in there. If you don't splurge, it makes it harder to stay with it.
Yeah, you got to have a balance of greens. You got to have your balance of
Exactly.
Greens. You got to have, unless you've got,
any diet that excludes fresh produce is dangerous. Period.
Now, I will throw this out there real quick. There are certain things that are going on, like Crohn's and intestinal valve syndrome.
But your doctor will guide you on that, not a magazine and not a nutritionist on television.
I think we've got a guest coming up next hour.
Yes, we do. We could talk to Danny Calamani. We're going to talk some food sport. 251-343-0106 is the number if you want to annoy us.
Had a big old long conversation with, we don't replay your show, but I'm trying to get in the habit of going to the next second, time, keeping it even, like the 30, 29, 30.
Yeah.
You know, that just, yeah. But it's, especially with Bill, when we do the replay, apparently there was, Sean was having a hard time getting even like 29, 30 or
Yeah.
30, 30 or whatever it is. And
Showers and a few thunderstorms. Lows in the mid-30s.
yeah, I noticed there was some interesting shorts. I couldn't figure out why it would be 2 or 3 seconds short. So I'm trying to.
The Gulf Coast. Mr. Calamity, are you there? Yep, he's there. Danny, can you hear me?
Daddy, can you hear me?
Hello, Danny, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, good. I had to press one more button. I knew there was something there. Got you in studio. Did you have a good New Year's, good holiday season?
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
Good.
Enjoyed family and friends, and worked out well.
Good for you. Good for you. Good to hear it. Well, we're in minute or so. And get you on the air. Hang on.
All right, will do. Thanks, man.
And workout center. These provide the perfect opportunity to relax and enjoy the company of neighbors. As a resident, most popular shopping, dining, entertainment minutes from Hey, for more information, call
They're not putting it on that computer.
259.
That's what I don't know. This computer, no. This one could handle it, but I think it'd be slower. I think they do have a different power.
Relive
But
yesterday.
this one, this Optiplex is no different than a Tandy 101.
Yeah.
Victory.
Good old trash 80.
You know, it's amazing. I was in Cocoa, Florida, the 91, 92, or 91, maybe 92. My daughter was born. About 18 months, around 92, 92.
Victory.
Anyway, moved down there for a morning gig and,
Right now,
and
one out of every two,
big Disney guy.
every 3 women.
Found this program, still have it on
Ah.
discs. Where you put it in the end of the Tandy. I bought a Tandy for $1,200. All it was a glorified word processor when you look at it,
Yeah.
but it could handle these what they call onion skins and flips and stuff like that. I was trying so hard to learn that program. Now, you know, you got everything under the sun between Adobe and
I saved up my money. Well, actually, I put it on layaway and paid it off myself a Commodore VIC 20
oh my God.
when I was like 12. It infuriated my dad.
3430106. Now back to Mike and Stu.
Jackson.
And we are back with Sip and Chew with Michael and Stu, and we are honored, nay, distinguished to be able to present to you today Mr. Danny Calamity of Alabama Coasting. Danny, are you there, buddy?
Huh?
Yeah.
Happy New Year, sir.
New Year, my friend. As much fun as talking trans fats was, I hate to kind of change the tone of the conversation.
You going back to farts now?
Yes, sir. We're talking food sports, man. We're talking food sports. So, yeah. So, we got a couple things lined up. It's some exciting times. The fun thing is we got this event next Saturday at the Undertow Restaurant, and my buddy Joe Coe over there has been doing this event. This is the 12th year he's been doing it. He took a couple of years off for a couple of reasons, so we're excited to have him back on the calendar. It's a World Food Championship event. It's a Tailgate Chef's Challenge, and it's January 11th at the Undertow Restaurant in Orange Beach. It's got 13 or 14 teams, and these guys always bring it. We got at least 4 previous World Food Championship winners. So we got Chad Whittington's coming all the way down from Alabama. He always brings it. Megan Bratton from Cowbell's going to be there. Chef Fletch from Island House, and Bill Howard. Bill had been able to cook for a little bit, some of our stuff, but he's had that ribbon around his neck before too. So we got some folks that have been competing before it, and then you got some others like Dodge Seafood's going to be there. Our friends from Orange Beach Police going to be there. The grill sergeant's going to be cooking. Down South Kitchen's going to be there, and it's anything tailgate, and so they really bring it. It's for a great charity. It's Severn Security is one of the sponsors, and their charity they support is Children's Rescue Initiative. So we hear a lot about children being trapped and that type of stuff, and that's really what this rescue is about. So it's an important charity, and the folks that attend, $20. $20, you get to come in and you get to sample some great food. These guys are competing for World Food Championship and some big prize money. So it's really going to be a fun time. It'll be a little bit chilly. So what we did is that the original start time was going to be noon. So we pushed it back an hour to give it a little bit of chance to warm up. But there'll be a lot of hot grills working and all that type of stuff. So it's going to be a great time. Weather's supposed to be clear, but just a little bit tad chilly.
Well, it is January.
It is January.
Yeah, we're in wintertime. We should expect it to be chilly.
Where is this being held at?
It's Orange Beach. It is in Orange Beach, the Undertow Bar and Grill right on Canal Road. So he's got a nice courtyard out back, and Joe's done a lot of work on this. He's excited about this. First time to be at this venue, but he's really excited. He's working hard at it, and again, Joe's been committed to this. This is his 12th year he's done it, so we're excited. It's our it is a World Food Championship. The competitors actually it's kind of an open ticket because it's early in the 2025 year for World Food Championship. So they'll be able to choose which category they want to go into, with the exception of seafood. They won't be able to choose seafood because I've got a couple other seafood events coming up. So it's going to be a good time. I hope everybody comes out. And speaking of events on the calendar, so this one's coming back, but I got a brand new event that's happening Super Bowl weekend. It'll be the Gulf Restaurant, which is a hangout hospitality group down there.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite place in Baldwin County.
It's a nice place, and this is a battle of the bowls. It is anything that goes in a bowl, and so the categories include a best entree, a best dessert. We're going to have a People's Choice Award, thinking out of the bowl, and one of the things that will be near and dear to you guys is we have a special category, best use of Hall sausage.
Love my Halls, y'all.
That's a standalone category itself. This charity is Sea Glass Initiative, which is a group that I'm just getting involved with, and they work with homelessness out in that area, trying to deal with homelessness throughout Baldwin County. Penny Hughley, who used to be with the chamber, has branched out and is working with this stuff. So she's got a lot of connections in the area, and we're pleased to be working with them. Again, and for this one, it's really a friendly competition. So you don't have to be a professional chef. If you could put something in a bowl and want to compete, it's not that big a deal. It's like 3 gallons is all they're looking for. So it's not a small sample size, but it's going to be a fun event. It is Super Bowl Sunday, so we're setting it up so you come do this before you go watch that ball game. So you'll be done in time to go watch the nonsense that'll be that evening for the Super Bowl.
So check this recipe out, Danny. This is what I would do if I were going to be competing. I get 3 gallons of whole milk, organic, and I get a box of peanut butter Captain Crunch, and then I get a box of just the Crunch Berries. So you got peanut butter Crunch Berry Captain Crunch in a bowl. Somebody's going to take that idea now and win the whole contest. I had a friend in high school who was ditching school, and he got bored. So what he did was he went through the Crunch Berry cereal and picked out all of the Crunch Berries and put them in his peanut butter Captain Crunch. He said, it's the best thing in the world.
Well, there you go. I'm going to be more inclined to line up with something that has Halls in it, and that's really not.
How do I incorporate the Halls into the Captain Crunch?
So
Do
So
they even want it?
I will tell you that's Super Bowl weekend, which is a big weekend, and over there also we'll be doing double duty on Saturday because the Floribama folks will be doing another rendition of their Super Bowl chili cook-off, which is another fine affair. It's a benefit American Cancer Society, and they always sell out, and that's a big event. So that's the Orange Beach folks, and of course, kicking it off, not to ignore everything that's going on this side of the bay, but that Friday is the King Cake Cook-Off in Mobile. So it's a full festive weekend, and I'm gonna do my best to eat it all of it.
Now, you were talking about the price earlier at Undertow being $20 for admission. I'm going to help you sell tickets real quick. Folks, if you go to your favorite neighborhood restaurant and you get a steak with a salad and baked potato, you could be dropping $35, $40, right? Or you could go to this event, pay $20 and try, you said 13 teams?
But yeah, there's I think we added a 14 team actually. Yeah.
So over a dozen different dishes that you get to try. You're going to get full, and you've spent half as much money. You don't even have to tip.
And I will tell you this on the other side to it. If for some strange reason you're not full, the Undertow has a fabulous menu as well. Their Reuben is fabulous. Their French dip is special. They've got food that you can fill up on too. If for some strange reason you don't get enough at the tailgate challenge.
Wow, man, y'all got it cooking to start the new year. What are y'all going to do with the other 11 months?
We got a few things lined up. We got a few things lined up down at Dolphin Island and back on this side of the bay as well. So January, February is picking up already, so it'll work.
We got to figure out something in Sims.
I'm game.
There's a great facility out there, venue, Loblolly Farms.
Yep.
That would probably, in fact, they tried to do a barbecue festival and bluegrass festival that was doing pretty well, and then COVID came along.
Yeah.
And nothing drew. But you've also got some parks out there. There's the Honor Park on Wolf Road that's got plenty of space for people to set up, plenty of parking. There's a church across the street they could spill onto. Probably be the best park. Or the Sims Municipal Park is huge. Yeah, so if you got anybody, and I would love to see, if you've got anybody looking to do another cook-off somewhere, I'd love to see something at Arlington Park there on the bay.
Well, we've got to look at what we need to be doing down in Mobile. We've done the battleship before, and that's always a good event.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a few other things working downtown in the Mobile area. But Arlington Park would be nice. That could be interesting. Yeah.
Big green space right there on the bay, plenty of parking. It would be a great site if you want to do like a food truck cook-off or something.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, do they still do food truck Fridays at the park there in Sims? Because they were doing it for the longest time.
I don't know, because I'm always working.
They do, I'm telling you, Danny, they do a food truck in the new park there in Sims. It's got to be.
Is that the big park with the lake, or is that the Honor Park?
Honor Park.
Honor Park,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they do at least 10, 15. I knew it grew to at least 10 to 15. It was like 3 or 4 in the beginning, but they've grown really quickly.
I have got to get more up into Northville. I went to the Piggly Wiggly's open house up in Saraland the last time they had that deal, and there's just a lot going on in the north part of the county that I got around to.
I tell you, if you haven't been out and tried Sabai Thai cuisine in Sims, you're really missing out.
Mercy, yes.
They have got some stuff on their menu, man. Their firecrackers is their version of a jalapeno popper, but it is a fresh jalapeno, not frozen. A fresh one stuffed with the crab stick, and they fry it up with panko and then drizzle it with eel sauce and a little yum yum sauce. Man, that is the best version of a jalapeno popper I've ever had in my life. I could eat my weight in that thing.
Well, I'm not the spiciest of persons, but I've got a friend who's kind of a spicy person, and so she might be interested in the trek up north, and I'm game to go along. So there you go. I
know what you need to get when you're there. You're a distinguished gentleman. You need to get the duck curry stir fry. There you go. Golly, that's good. Or if you're feeling, really, really hungry, they have a pork belly stir fry.
I may be heading north for.
Well, I took Andy McDonald on a food crawl of Sims for him to ride in Lanyap, and I took him to Sabai. I took him to Hickory Pit, which is also the city hall, and took him to Sakura, which is a Japanese restaurant, and then I took him to what keeps winning the Nanyap for best pizza in Mobile County, which is Sims House of Pizza. So there's places to eat there locally owned that are really good.
I have not. The last real food crawl, I took Chris Andrews on a food crawl before one of our Latin Fest deals, and that was fun. But I gotta get back. I gotta do another food crawl.
Call Andy.
There you go.
That way, Lanyap can pay for it all.
That'll work too.
Yeah, I have a question for you real quick, Danny. To wrap up our segment here. You remind me again where the Battle of the Bowl is being filmed, where they
Battle of the Bowl is going to be at the Gulf Restaurant. It's at the Path at Orange Beach, and there's obviously you can find out some information at Alabama Coasting, but you can also reach Penny Hughley at pennyphughley at gmail.com. That's available, but we'll have some more information. We've still got a month out for that one, but it's going to be it's sponsored by the Hangout Hospitality Group, and it's so that'll be the first inaugural Battle of the Bowl.
Well,
that date is February 9th, by the way.
all right. We appreciate it, Danny. You're always welcome to come on and talk food sport with us, buddy, and Happy New Year.
All right, Happy New Year, you guys too. All right, cheers.
That piano was too nice. I didn't want to soft it anymore.
Years, Mobile Bay Magnet.
Did it not fire off for you all you're supposed to?
No.
We'll blame it on the bill.
Mobile Bay. Each month's issue is filled with our unique Southern Alabama
I saw you.
articles and stunning
I was a jazz musician. I know how to vamp. Yeah.
recipes, familiar places,
spent enough-
and faces.
Enough time in music theater and jazz. I know how to vamp.
Your journey today by visiting
Put on some fine dining music and let it roll.
Yeah.
Oh, worked out. All right.
I think this last segment we'll get back on the diet.
February 9th.
Another edition of
Yes.
Law 251. Lacey, let's talk a little bit about teen driving. There's drivers out there on the road who may not know everything about driving. What are some
And if
tips?
only you had a recording of it that you could listen to.
Be a good example yourself. Have small children or teens in
Hey,
the car,
Phil.
you can see them when driving.
You don't think about it, I don't
To buckling up your
think about
seatbelt,
those
make
things,
sure
right?
everybody else in
Funny
the
when I
vehicle
was-
is buckled in as well. We are an iPhone age,
Doing
so
top 40,
primarily
kind of
avoid distractions from
rock
cell
or
phones.
whatever.
Phone
you
calls,
got an insect
texting,
rolling.
driving has become a
And I
huge
remember I
They show
never
that
pull out the-
motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death for teenagers from the age of 15 to 18. So that's a big threat to some of the people that we love the most in our lives, which is our children.
Not everything's on Google as quickly as you'd like.
TobiasComerLaw.com. Call 251-432-5001. Lacey Smith with Tobias and Comer Law and Law 251. Presentation is made that legal
See, I go Battle of the Bowl,
services of others. The home service
BOWL,
paid advertisement.
which is the same thing as the bowl game, and they're thinking the 68 inches bowl, like, which is basically for senior bowl. No,
Add into it the Gulf.
You need homework.
Perdido, Alabama.
yeah, do it.
Add into your search the Gulf.
Yeah.
Perdido, Alabama.
Either do their repair or
Have you been there?
he has over.
That's the one with the shipping containers on the beach. And that's where the bars and the kitchens are. Everything's outdoor seating. Couches right on the beach.
Still comes up with senior bowl.
Probably,
Danny will have it on Facebook. I found the world championship thing for your entire.
probably seating for 350, 400 people because it's a beach. You know, you run out of couches, you just sit in the same. But the food is terrific. For the longest time, they didn't do any fried food, but they
What's
got
it called? The
the Gulf.
That's where this is gonna be, that the goal.
Yeah, it's right before you go over the pass, Perdido. It's on the right before you go over the big bridge.
I just wanted to make sure I had the information in the podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's probably my favorite place to go in Baldwin County. That's just, it's far enough away, I don't go there.
All right. All right,
Lifestyle Show. Thank you for taking the time to host and, more importantly, listening to locally owned Hometown Talk on FM Talk 1065. Mike Bailey, Stuart Red Donald, devoted to the complete gastronomic experience.
I want a big butter and egg man.
Mike and Stu on FM Talk 1065.
Just had to mention the word gastronomic.
Gastronomic. Just as a side note before we get started again, when I was the chef at Lucky and we first opened up, I said I wanted us to be a gastropub. And people in Mobile reeled at that and said that sounded like a stomach disease.
Wow.
And I said, no, a gastropub is a bar that takes food as seriously as a fine dining restaurant.
Right.
It took another 10 years or so for Mobile to accept the term. Squid Ink is a gastropub. That's what we were doing at Lucky 10 years ago. And now they've got a much better kitchen at Squid Ink. People used to freak out. They would come in the kitchen at Lucky and go, how are y'all pulling this off in this tiny little kitchen?
Yeah.
Because, Steve, it's literally, the grill was this way. If I turned around, I was in the sink.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that was it. It was the smallest kitchen I've ever worked in.
How did they measure safety standards on that? I mean, that was acceptable?
Lots of grandfather. Yeah, which was why we had an old concrete floor instead of a modern one, was because if they changed anything, they'd lose their grandfather and have to bring things up to code.
I got you.
Which,
little secret behind the scenes there.
yeah, and it would have meant a whole new floor for them because it was a porous concrete floor. So we just had to fight to keep it clean.
Got a comment via text from David Hubble. Says, I commend Danny and the folks for having a category just for calls. It's their 80th anniversary.
80th anniversary.
Can you imagine?
Yep. And Mike's been there for every one of them.
A lot of sausage, man. A lot of sausage.
Yeah, that's a lot of sausage.
And Mr. Plot earlier texted in and says, to this day, I could never successfully explain to my wife why I giggle every time I poop. See, what women will say poop.
Yeah.
And the guy will say,
Flatulate.
there you go.
There was an episode of Mythbusters where they were experimenting with it, and Travel Channel was not Travel Channel, TLC, whoever they were on.
Yeah, the Learning Channel.
Yeah, they were very clear that they could not use the word fart. The only word they could use was flatulate, or the actual cloud was called flatulent. And I was just like, this is absurd.
Wow. Yeah, that's more offensive to me.
Yeah.
Than the word fart.
Yeah.
Flatulence. I mean, it sounds more upper crust.
Flatulent.
Anyway.
But we were talking earlier about diets, and you hit on the key, which is balance.
Right.
And that's what we're doing now. We're going to demonstrate that. We did a segment about how to eat healthy. And then we did, the food sports segment. We brought up duck, and we brought up pork belly, all these unhealthy things. Now we're going back. Because I said earlier, all these fad diets, none of them are healthy.
Right.
But what Dr. Atkins said when he invented his Atkins diet, the first low carb diet that everyone else is ripping off, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Right.
They're ripping it off.
Taking something out of context.
Yeah. Yeah. Twisting something a little to try and make it original.
Right.
So he said it is an unhealthy diet, but it is a response to an unhealthy diet. Said yes, people who are 50 pounds or more overweight are obese, morbidly obese. They need a fast solution to save them. That's what his diet was. He said, as soon as you get down to your target weight, you then have to spend the rest of your life eating a balanced meal.
Yes.
And that is the same with any of these fad diets. They are reactionary diets to correct what is already an unhealthy diet.
Would you consider it, and I know my answer, but this is kind of a rhetorical question. Would you consider this fasting?
Yeah, to a great deal. That's what it is. You're fasting from carbohydrates, which forces your body to go into ketosis, which is where we get the keto diet, which is just Atkins, with a few little tweaks so that they can repackage it and sell it to you again. But ketosis is a metabolic change.
Mhm.
Your body is designed to burn carbohydrates for energy.
Right.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Right.
But when you get all of these fat cells build up, which are simply excess carbohydrates, the
Okay.
body converts it into fat to store it. Carbohydrates won't keep that energy for a long time, but fats will.
Right.
And it's saving it for a fasting period. When you go into ketosis, you change your metabolism, which is perfectly natural for short periods of time, not for the rest of your life,
Right.
not for years, months, 6 months tops of one of these diets.
Well, your body adjusts. Even it'll tell you when you're working out, for example.
Yeah.
You need to change your routine
Yeah.
in workout so that
Because exercise is defined as anything that your body's not used to.
That's you.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
So that's why you
you're
change.
lifting weights for a period of 6 to 8 weeks. Then you change out again and do it a different way. You may
Yeah.
do the same weight, but
Yeah.
you need to work the muscle groups differently.
Yeah.
Same thing with food.
Yeah, exactly. And so with Atkins and all these other diets, they're reactionary diets. So they are good with your doctor's permission. Go on them, let him help you set the guidelines, or her. Set the guidelines for how long you're going to be on it, how strict you're going to stay with it. Include your doctor in that, because I see these people all the time. They want to drop 10 pounds for a wedding, so they go on a low carb diet. That's incredibly dangerous. You don't need a low carb diet at that point. But the thing that carbohydrates are very important for, other than its energy, is that's what our synapses use to fire. And if you stay on a low carb diet long enough, to put it in simple terms, you will get dumber.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
They will make you stupid
Yes.
because your synapses don't fire. So when I said it, what's actually going on? Because I've said before, there are people born with higher cognitive abilities, average cognitive abilities, or lower cognitive abilities, and we can't affect that. But stupidity is a choice.
It's another show for us.
Yeah. What tends to happen is your math skills will fall off drastically.
Yeah.
Decision making will fall off.
Your acuity. Yeah.
Yeah. You get things, complex concepts like, I don't know, space-time continuum. You won't be able to fathom them. It's hard enough on some of those complexes when your brain's hitting on all cylinders
Exactly.
to entertain a concept like string theory, where everything in the universe is made up of tiny vibrating strings of energy.
Right.
I still can't completely wrap my head around how that works.
Well,
But
a lot of people couldn't figure out molecules either, or neurons. But
Yeah.
the idea is to feed the brain.
well, that's it, folks. This is Sip and Chew with Mike and Stu. We're going to be off the air for a whole week until next Sunday at 11 a.m. Remember to tip your servers. Servers earn your tips. Be as local as possible, and above all else, pro alone.
Well, that was fast.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Get out of here.